Hi, let me introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Sydney, I'm 21. I'm in a wheelchair. I've been in a wheelchair for about 6 years now. I have a rare progressive neuromuscular disorder called Friedreich's ataxia, or FA for short. If you want to learn more about it, you can scroll back and I have a few videos explaining all about it. For today's video, if you guys didn't know, I went to Las Vegas a few weeks ago. I flew there from Louisiana where I live while I drove to Houston and then flew to Las Vegas. And I know that airports can be scary and not easy for people in wheelchairs, especially for people in electric wheelchairs like I am. So whenever I went to Las Vegas with my boyfriend, I had him film as much as he could in the airport and dealing with the airport experience and all of that having to do with my wheelchair and putting me on the plane and everything. So I'm gonna kind of explain to you what was going on, because even though he tried to film as much as he could, it's still kind of hard to tell like without context. So I thought I would just kind of narrate it for you, I guess. First, we got to the Houston International Airport and we went to check in, printed out our tickets, checked in our bags. Then we went to security. And if you have never flown before, you wouldn't know, but you have to pass through a metal detector. Well, when you're in a wheelchair, you cannot just go through the metal detector. So what they have to do is pull you aside and give you a pat down, which also sometimes takes a while because like I'm female, so I have to wait for a female worker to be able to pat me down. They won't let males and females like mix, which is a good thing. But it means you have to wait sometimes. Could be 20 minutes, could be 2 hours, who knows. So whenever you go through security, they bring you aside and they give you a pat down. First, they pat down your body. They feel you all the way up and down. They feel like your waistline, your everything. Then they pat down your wheelchair, which is kind of hard to do, especially when you're sitting in it, and luckily they don't make you get out of it because that would be really hard and really uncomfortable. What they normally do is just kind of pat down the seat the best they can, and they will also take like, I don't know what it is, some kind of cloth, and like run it all along the sides and the back of your wheelchair. And then they will run it through a scanner to make sure that there's not anything harmful in your wheelchair. All of that is a very lengthy process, takes a while. It's a lot longer than just walking through a metal detector, which is why if you're in a wheelchair, especially an electric wheelchair, but really any wheelchair, you want to make sure you leave yourself enough time to get through security. It could take 30 minutes, could take 3 hours. You never know. After you go through security, you then have to go to your gate, which may be really far away, and you may have to take several elevators, which take forever sometimes, but it's what you gotta do. And then once you get to your gate, you want to make sure you go immediately to your gate after you get through security. Because once you get to your gate, you have to go up to the front desk and check in your wheelchair so they can put the airport tags on it. And you also have to know how much your wheelchair weighs, what kind of battery, if you have a battery powered wheelchair like I do. they will write all the information down on a wheelchair tag and tag it on your tag it on your wheelchair. I actually still have mine. So after they tag your wheelchair, if you have any more free time, then you're free to go do whatever you want to do in the airport. And whenever they tag your wheelchair, if you need it, which I do, I can't walk at all, they will call for an aisle chair, which is a little tiny chair that they transfer you from your wheelchair to the aisle chair and then put you on the plane using the aisle chair. It's really small, so it can fit on the plane. If you're lucky, when it's time to board the plane, they will already have the aisle chair there waiting for you, and then you can board the plane first before everyone else. A lot of times they are later getting there, and then you have to wait for everyone else to board the plane first, and then they will board you last, which means that you have to go down the aisle in the little tiny aisle chair, bumping into everyone on the way, which is not fun. So this little aisle chair is an experience getting into. First, they have to transfer you from your wheelchair to the aisle chair. Now, I still have a little mobility, so I can kind of slide from my wheelchair to the aisle chair. But if you aren't able to do that, then they will pick you up and put you in the aisle chair. Once you're in the aisle chair, they then have to buckle you in. So 2 seatbelt buckles that come around your shoulders and buckle around your waist. There is a strap that buckles your thighs right here. And there is a strap that buckles around your ankles. All of that is to keep, I guess, your body and your legs and feet in place. Because if you're like me, it's kind of hard to hold, especially your feet up and out of the way. And then whenever you're in the aisle chair, they will then bring you on the plane. It's on wheels, so they will just roll you up on the plane. It's supposed to be 2, I don't know what you call them, airport workers that help with the aisle chair. There's supposed to be 2 of them, one for the back and one to kind of watch your feet. And whenever you go on the plane, there's like a little lift, and they actually pick you up and put you on the plane. Then you roll down the aisle, and you have to hold your arms like this so that you're not bumping into seats, because airplanes are very small, especially if you're boarding the plane last and there's people next to you and you're bumping into everyone. Luckily, most of the time, if they're able to, they will look at your seating arrangements whenever you check in your wheelchair at the beginning. And if they are able to, they will move you as close as they can so that your seat isn't all the way in the back of the plane. And they don't have to like roll you all the way back there. They want to get you as close as possible. It's a lot easier for them. So once you get to your seat, they roll you down the aisle, and then it's time to transfer you from the aisle chair to your airplane seat. If you're like me, you can just slide over, or they will pick you up and put you in the seat. First, they have to unbuckle you like everywhere and then put you in the seat. Normally, they'll help you with the seat belt once you're in your plane seat if you need help. And then once you're in your chair on the plane, they will make sure you're situated, and then you're all done. It's time for the flight. I hate flying because once you're in your chair and you take off, you cannot really get up. They don't have an aisle chair on the plane for you. So if you need the bathroom, you're out of luck. Like, I don't know what to tell you about that one. I personally like dehydrate myself that day or the day before so that I don't need the bathroom on the flight, because I know that I can't get up to use it. And if you happen to be sitting on the aisle seat and there's someone on the window seat and they have to get up to go to the bathroom and there's not enough room in front of you because airplanes are small, they're gonna have to climb over you. So that's fun. Once you land and you're over with your long, uncomfortable, probably having to hold like whatever you need to do in the bathroom, probably having to hold it for a while, and then you finally land, you have to wait for everyone else to get off the plane, every single person to get off the plane before they will come and get you with the aisle share, which is normally not a problem, but if you happen to have a layover, which is best to try to avoid layovers at all costs, but if you happen to have a layover and you don't have very much time in between, it can be a really big issue because you never know how long it's gonna take everyone to get off the flight. You could be sitting there for up to an hour. You never know. It depends on like how big the plane is, how many people are on it, that kind of thing. But once everyone is off the plane, they will come get you with the aisle share if it's ready. Sometimes they don't have it ready. Whenever I was coming home and I landed in Houston, they had an aisle chair ready. They did not have my wheelchair ready. Because if you didn't know, once they put you in the aisle chair, they will load your wheelchair with all of the luggage on the bottom of the plane. So once you land, you have to wait until they get everyone else's luggage, and then they will bring your wheelchair. So whenever we landed in Houston, they did not have my wheelchair ready, and we had to wait an additional like 20 minutes after everyone had gotten off the plane. And then they loaded me in the aisle chair. Same thing, scooch over, or they will lift you, buckle you in. Although whenever I landed in Houston, the buckles on the aisle chair did not work, which is not safe, but I went with it anyway because I didn't feel like waiting anymore. They then brought me off the plane. My wheelchair was still not there once I got off the plane. They said they had to bring it like up in a freight elevator or something that was like really far away, so they had to like bring it somewhere and like come all the way across the airport. I don't know what the situation was like exactly. I just know it took forever. So here I am sitting, like I just gotten off the plane, just sitting in a little tiny uncomfortable aisle chair with no seatbelt around my top half. Well, I think I was like holding it, but it wasn't actually buckled. So they ended up just putting me in an airport wheelchair. They actually had to pick me up and put me in it. Pick me up, transfer me in the airport wheelchair, and bring me up to the gate where everyone else is in the airport, so I'm not like down by the plane anymore. And I'm just sitting there for like 5 or 10 minutes waiting on my wheelchair, and then they finally come down the airport driving my wheelchair, and it's all like folded up and everything, so I have to like unfold it and put it back, and then they transfer me out the aisle chair and put me back in my wheelchair, and then we go to baggage claim, get our bags, and we're good. Now, I know a lot of people have worries about your wheelchair in the airport. I will say this, I've been on over 100 flights in my lifetime since I've been in a wheelchair, and they do not take good care of your wheelchair. I've had, right now I'm in an electric wheelchair, but I've flown with my manual wheelchair, my power assist wheelchair, a scooter, and let me just say, I don't ever think I've flown without having something happen in my wheelchair. Although this time was not bad at all because, again, I flew a direct flight, so they only had to really transport my wheelchair once. Once on the way there and once on the way back. So there's like less room for error. So the only thing that happened was they kind of cracked the seating. Like, you can see it there. It wasn't bad at all. Now I have had like pieces fall off. They bumped it into things and just knocked pieces off. Or the footrest fell off. The joystick fell off. Why is it getting so dark? So dark now. Anyway, even one time it was raining outside, and I could see as I was sitting on the plane looking out the window, waiting for everyone to get off the plane, I could see they left my electric scooter sitting out in the rain. It was just sitting there while they were unloading everyone's luggage. They just left it sitting there in the rain. I could see it. And then whenever I got off the plane, the electric part did not work. And I couldn't use my scooter. Luckily, it started working like 30 minutes or an hour later after I drive, but now I was very lucky that happened because it could have been completely ruined, and there's really nothing I could do about it. They were not liable for that. They weren't really gonna do anything. They just kind of told me to wait and see if it works, and that's what we did. So when you're traveling with the wheelchair, just know they do not take very good care of it a lot of the time. So you'll never know what's gonna happen when you fly, and that's something that I wish we could change, and something that I think we need to change. But if you're gonna be flying soon and you're in a wheelchair like I am, and you wanted to know a little bit about what that experience is like, there you go.